We're live.
Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the board meeting of the Town of Newcastle. This is the September 9th, 2025 meeting. The board has been in executive session, and I'd like to ask for a motion to open the work session.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Sabrina's going to start us off. We are going to have a presentation by one of our student interns, Asher Moss, and I will let Sabrina introduce her and her project.
Him.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Well,
Asher,
sorry. I just wanna start by thanking the town board for allowing my office to have interns each summer. We find them very helpful in helping us meet our goals with our programs, and we provide great experience for them. This summer, I had a very special intern, Asher Moss, who is here tonight. He came to us out of a pool of, I think, 9 applicants we interviewed. We selected him based on his communication skills and his interest. He rose to the top quickly, and his work with my office this summer has proven that. And he's here tonight to share with you what he has done, and the work that he performed this summer is assisting the town with meeting its requirements under our general stormwater permit. So with that, I'm gonna turn it over to Asher.
Thank you, Sabrina, for the introduction, and thank you guys for being here. As Sabrina said, I was an intern with the planning department this past summer and mostly focusing on data analytics as well as policy and strategy. And I want to take the opportunity to highlight some of the projects I worked on. So I think it's a little delayed.
You gotta take the volume off.
How do I keep it?
Okay.
I'm not able to forward the slide.
It's like the wizard, you know, like in the back.
Yeah, wait, let me just get straight. I got it.
You know, like in the back.
Yeah.
Pull back the
Okay,
curtains.
so on the screen are the 5 primary assignments that I worked on throughout the 6 weeks. And I wanna briefly present each project as well as detail some of my work and findings for each one. So starting with the MS4 septic identification and record digitization project. So based on updates to the, it's really kind of, there we go, okay. Based on updates to state MS4 regulations and the proposed updates to the town code, which I helped to draft, the town is now required to collect as much data as possible on the waste management system of the roughly 1,800 parcels in the Sawmill Sewer District. So this means determining whether all 1,800 parcels utilize sewer, septic, or communal waste management systems. Up to this point, at least 4 distinct efforts have been made to obtain this information through a mailer. Those mailers were sent out with 1 prepaid postcard where residents could indicate the waste management system on their property. Those efforts yielded about 1,300 confirmed records, which is about 70% of the total that we need to be in full compliance. When I was brought on board, I was tasked both with digitizing the 1,300 existing records we had, as well as capturing as much of the remaining 30% as possible. So along with Sabrina, we began a targeted mailer effort. This was unique in that the mailer was designed one for property managers and a separate one for residents, and it was also stamped and written to elicit as many responses as possible. We were happy to observe a return rate of 35%, which is over 5 times the average that would be expected for a mailer of this type. Additionally, working with Felicia and Sabrina, I reviewed digital records on various town databases, which further increased verified coverage. So in our effort, we were able to increase the verification rate from 70% to 85%, which comprises 288 new verifications, which I think is pretty significant. So next, I will turn to the municipal energy benchmarking. So every intern that works in the planning department completes the municipal energy benchmarking report through the EPA's Energy Star Portfolio Manager. This report quantifies all town building energy and carbon emission data relative to square footage of the building. As part of my review specifically, I examined and corrected any errors from prior years, 2016 to 2023, and ensured that all past data was accurate. So this image on the screen is the report for 2024, the final report. And as you can see, we did highlight Chapac because we observed that it was using greater amounts of energy than might be expected relative to its size. With this information in mind, I resolved to launch an investigation into the factors that contribute to Chapac's monthly energy bills. So that led to the Chapac Energy Investigation and subsequent analysis. So a large portion of the Chapac investigation was conducted on site. I was fortunate enough to make 3 separate visits to Chapac, 2 of them with DPW Building Maintenance Foreman Walter Quast. And through these tours, Walter walked me through each major draw on electricity in the building. So first is the air handler. So the air handler, as pictured on the screen, likely consumes large amounts of electricity due to its frequent operation. Additionally, we have 2 hot water circulator pumps that operate 24/7 during the shoulder months of September and October, and March and April, and those also likely add to our monthly bill. Additionally, there are air conditioning units that are likely beyond their expected lifespan. The 2 air conditioning units in the auditorium are 20 plus years old, but the average lifespan of an air conditioning unit is only 15 to 20 years. That being said, the town has taken numerous very significant steps to address high energy usage in Chapac. Those include the installation of LED lights and solar panels, as well as a replacement of the boiler and the integration of a building management system. Those projects, along with many other additional capital projects, are all excellent initiatives that will surely reduce energy use this year and in many years to come. So the flagship project of my internship, and what I hope will be my legacy here at the town, is the #StormwaterSmart campaign, which is a label that encompasses all the proposed and new public-facing initiatives, most of them are legally required, that the town will start to take to reduce stormwater pollution. So first, I want to provide some background as to why we decided to begin this effort. So in January 2024, the New York State DEC issued a new MS4 general permit, which applies to the town of Newcastle, and that requires that we educate the public and provide outreach materials on pollutant generating activities and ways that we can reduce runoff as a town, stormwater runoff. This outreach must target various focus groups. So we have identified 3 such focus groups as the primary ones in the town, and those are residents, contractors, and high priority businesses. HPBs are businesses with the highest propensity to pollute stormwater, but I will discuss more of that later in that section of the presentation. Finally, we must have a special focus on phosphorus pollution reduction due to our location in the east of Hudson watershed. Our goal, my goal, Sabrina's goal, and everyone's goal with this project is to protect our drinking water, protect aquatic ecosystems, and most importantly, comply with all permit requirements. So the first target group of the #StormwaterSmart campaign is homeowners. Through many widespread habits, like is included in this graphic here, so for example, leaving pet waste on the street, washing cars in driveways, or allowing sprinklers to be aimed at the road, homeowners are the largest collective contributors to stormwater contamination every year. All year long, every season, homeowners have multiple habits that pollute our stormwater and thus our wetlands, waterways, and reservoirs. So in the handouts that were handed out to you all before the meeting, there are instructions to access 27 unique graphics for all seasons of the year, and 14 of these I designed myself with assistance from artificial intelligence. Each graphic set, which is 2 different graphics, contain 1 common harmful practice and 1 sustainable practice. So for example, sprinklers. So on the left, you have graphic A, the first graphic of the set, which clearly illustrates that pointing your sprinklers towards the road or the sidewalk is both pollutant generating and harmful to stormwater, and also can waste money on water. On the right, we have graphic B, which is aimed to inform residents of a sustainable practice, which is quite simply, in this example, just directing sprinklers toward landscaping. Our approach aims to integrate these graphic sets, so these sets of 2 graphics, into 2 separate town messaging platforms. So the first is our proposal for a #StormwaterSmart section in the supervisor's weekly e-newsletter. We envision this being posted as needed at the town board's discretion, but perhaps every 3 to 4 weeks. As you can see, each post would contain 1 set, so both the harmful practice and the sustainable practice, as well as a caption that can be tweaked to basically illustrate some information about the, both practices and what residents in the town can do to pollute less stormwater. The second integration model is monthly social media posts. So these sets would be posted together. Again, these are models of how it may look. Our goal with this is quite simple. It's clear messaging. We want engaging graphics and concise and succinct messaging, which is in this case the caption, that lends itself towards conversation and comment and ultimately action on the part of the homeowner. So that is sort of the background on the homeowner section of the campaign. The next stage of #StormwaterSmart includes outreach to contractors and the homeowners that employ them. So for common ongoing town projects, so that ranges from installing a fence to installing a pool or a patio or building a shed, there are certain construction activities like earth moving, concrete washout, excess use of oil and paints that all pose major stormwater pollution risks. And building and engineering inspects every single site before giving out a building permit. For select sites that are, 500 square feet and larger or 1 acre and larger, weekly inspections are required. However, this comprises a relatively small group of sites. And what happens is that smaller sites often fall through the cracks, which is to say that contractors, despite passing first inspection, they do not adequately, keep their stormwater controls in place after the initial inspection. So our initiative is effectively providing information packets to these contractors with the goal of encouraging compliance and reducing pollution in a way that is not solely enforcement driven. So these information packets will be distributed alongside building permits. The contractors will receive one so that they are fully aware of their requirements, so that would be through the town letter and through the construction site requirements list, as well as the steps that they must take to stay in compliance. So that is the compliance log and the BMP, that's best management practice graphics that are printed in both English and Spanish. Homeowners will receive a smaller but similar information packet that informs them of their requirements and that they are ultimately responsible for all activity on their property. So to just highlight these graphics for reference, on the left we have the graphic that would be sent out to construction sites. So as you can see, relatively easy to read, branded for the town and the #StormwaterSmart campaign, and is pretty much boiling it down to 4 best management practices, and very similar for the resident graphic. However, that one talks a little bit more about calling or reporting if you see that somebody is not conforming to their stormwater requirements. Lastly, I want to highlight just with the contractor information packet is the compliance log. So the compliance log is designed so that contractors can continuously certify that they are complying with all town requirements that are already set out. Town inspectors can then, upon arrival at the site, they just request the log and then they can verify that the supervising contractor has signed off on, continuous compliance with all stormwater requirements. So this enforcement method, the compliance log, is designed to minimize personnel requirements, but still ensure accountability. I have spoken at length with Terry Rowe, who is our civil engineering technician for the town, and who I believe is the primary inspector, and he vouches for both the viability and effectiveness of this proposal. So lastly, I want to hit on the final phase of #StormwaterSmart, and that focuses on the high priority businesses, which, as I said before, are local or local operating establishments that are most likely to contribute to stormwater pollution. So we have identified 27 of these in the town that fall into one of 5 categories. Those are restaurants, landscapers, auto repair shops, gas stations, and car washes. So our challenge here is that high priority businesses are less likely to respond to environmental guidance and social media posts than homeowners might. So we need a strategy that sort of targets what businesses are actually going to respond to, which is predominantly their reputation in the town, their customer perception, and their profits. So the solution that Sabrina and I put forth is gamification, which uses a gamification model. And for those that are unfamiliar, that effectively takes game-like elements, so recognition, rewards, checklists, stuff like that, to boost what is voluntary compliance with the program. So this has been proven effective in multiple modern studies. In Government Information Quarterly, they found that participation increases up to 25% when recognition and rewards are added, and the Environmental Protection Agency calls recognition a quote low-cost, high-impact strategy specifically effective for stormwater. So in order to better illustrate how we envision this program being designed, I will walk you through a model using Le Jardin, which is as I'm sure everyone knows, a local French restaurant right down the street. So the HPB, in this case Le Jardin, would receive a flyer like the one to the left that is specific to their industry. So in this case, a restaurant. It's a little small, but on the top you have just a layout of the program and sort of what the town is doing. And then on the majority of the flyer is the 4 best management practices that are specific to the restaurant. So we have putting waste in a bin, avoiding overflows, keeping a lid on outdoor waste, and wiping up chemical spills and oil and grease and stuff like that. So Le Jardin would need to complete all 4 of these best management practices. So in their case, maybe they're already doing 2 out of 4 of these. But perhaps the outdoor dumpster doesn't have a lid on it, right? So when it rains, as it did just last weekend, waste and stuff would be flushed right into the stormwater drain. So Le Jardin would need to address that best management practice and ensure that outdoor waste is covered with a lid. Le Jardin would then want to complete an online form, of which this is solely a model, this is not live on the website or anything like that, which would certify that they are conforming to all 4 best management practices for their industry. Our proposal does require businesses to submit photographic proof of their compliance, and then a town employee would need to verify, that the photos support that they are in compliance. Once that verification happens, Le Jardin would be certified as a B #Stormwater Smart Business for the town, of which this is, just a little thing I designed that could go along with that certification. After that, the town would want to grant any one or multiple of the rewards that we propose. So that can include a feature on town Instagram, such as the one presented here, which effectively is not an endorsement of any kind. It's just to say this is a business that we want to recognize for helping keeping Newcastle's water clean and our community safe. We also propose potentially integration into the B #Stormwater Smart section of the weekly e-newsletter, or a certificate like something like this that could be displayed on a window or within the restaurant, or wherever a business might want to display it. And there are models for all of these that were included in the packet you received. So recognizing that gamification and this whole model is a little bit out of the box, I want to conclude this section by just reinforcing sort of why we believe this to be the best strategy. First of all, it is low to no cost to implement and requires no additional personnel, with the exception of 1 to 2 individuals to review applications on the form. And to support the scalability of the model, so that is to say to push it out to all HPBs, I want to briefly discuss a proven behavioral science principle. So our model is scalable because it builds on the principle of nudge theory, which is basically to say that people and businesses are more likely to take action even without direct incentives, so that is to say a carrot or a stick, when they see that their peers are doing the same thing. So as more businesses seek the Stormwater Smart certification, participation hopefully will become the perceived norm, which would in turn, nudge other businesses to do it as well. Gamification, so the rewards, would then reinforce this behavior by giving businesses a reason to sustain, beyond just seek, but sustain their efforts. So ongoing recognition, visibility, and pride in being part of a high standard B Stormwater Smart community. And finally, the program aligns with business interests to maintain positive relations with their clients and with town authorities. So I want to wrap up the presentation by discussing briefly the 5th project, which was the content overhaul of the B #Stormwater Smart webpage on the town website. So in alignment with our required and expanded public outreach efforts under the B #Stormwater Smart campaign, I am proposing along with Sabrina, proposing a full content overhaul for the stormwater section of the town's website. This new proposed version is more user-friendly, it is more visually structured, and it is targeted at increasing public engagement and education. But most importantly, it aligns with all updated permit requirements, specifically our new requirement to include language on illicit discharges and phosphorus production, which I mentioned before. So here are the major section categories of the proposed website. As you can see, it's much more fleshed out, much more organized, and we believe much more, conducive to public use. And before wrapping up, I do want to get into just a very brief comparison. So on the left, you can see the current website. It's pretty small, but the actual words are less relevant than to just say that this website is not currently in compliance with permit requirements. Our proposal on the right, which is simply an outline at this point, but it is cleaner, it's more effective at conveying information, and it brings the town into compliance with permit requirements. And so we urge the town to adopt part or all of this proposed outline. So that wraps up my internship this summer. I wanna take the opportunity to thank Sabrina, who gave me both the opportunity to work for the town and also the opportunity to present in front of you guys. It's been an honor to work for the town and to present just now, and so thank you.
After I am amazed and so impressed. You have done fantastic work for us, and I thank you so very much. I mean, your work answered real problems and gave us some real actionable solutions. I'm thrilled to have something to put in the newsletter on this. The graphics are terrific, they're attractive, they're engaging. I love the gamification idea. It just reminds me, the concept everything old is new again. All of the concepts of gamification are tried and true, but I love the word gamification. So we're going to use all of that, and I think it's fantastic. Thank you for helping us with our webpage. And what I love the most is that I can see that you really enjoyed this.
I did.
Right, and the excitement is there, and you have made stormwater awareness something fun, so thank you for that. Does anyone have any comments or questions?
I would just add that you've lost me at stormwater, generally speaking. It's not the most exciting, compelling thing, but you made it very interesting and substantive and brief, and you articulated incredibly well, and I kept on leaning over and looking at Jen over here. I'm like, oh my gosh, like what's going on? It was really impressive. I mean, the way you present yourself and you presented the information was compelling and substantive and terrific. So 2 thumbs up. Sabrina, watch out, he's coming.
Yeah, you took a fairly boring yet complicated topic and broke it down into very understandable, user-friendly, and very presentable chunks. Kudos to you, and you presented it phenomenally, so you're gonna go on to do really good things. Thank you for sharing yourself with us.
My pleasure.
I also want to make a comment. First of all, wow. I mean, that was just amazing. I can't believe how much you accomplished in a summer, and I can't believe how clearly and succinctly you presented it to us with a lot of confidence. I mean, you compare easily to other people who have come before us from different companies in Westchester who've been doing that work for decades. And you did this in a summer. Same kind of confidence, same clarity, so really amazing. I'm specifically interested in Chapac, and I'm curious, when you did the comparisons that showed that Chapac, given the structure it is using more of its utilities or power, were you comparing it to like use structures like theaters, or just structures of similar size?
No, that's a good question, and thank you for the comments you made before. We were comparing it to similar performing arts centers. What I will add, and what is a flaw with the Energy Star portfolio system, is that their numbers are calculated on square footage. So Chapac, as I'm sure you all know, is very tall. There's enormous height there. And our numbers, just the way the system works, does not take into account volume, it's solely square footage. So part of the reason I think we are seeing the numbers we see is not actually because energy usage is that high, but mostly because the platform we use is not taking into account that Chapac probably has higher ceilings than comparable buildings.
Right,
So
I was
that's what I would
thinking
say.
that heating and cooling, that wide open space, that is the
Exactly,
cooler, right?
yes, yes.
But anyway, it was just fascinating. I'm going to not leave my dog's poop on the ground anymore. I learned a lot from your presentation, thank you.
I just wanna conclude by saying thank you so much for the work that you did over the summer. We are all completely just beyond impressed. I, like Jeremy, kept looking at Sabrina like, wow, is this for real? MS4 has been weighing on us as a board and as town staff since we learned that we were going to have to make all of these changes, and for you to come in and do the kind of work that you did for us for the summer, I can't overstate how appreciative we all are for the work that you did. That was so impressive. It was informative. It was easy to understand. It was educational. I thought it was interesting too, which, like, to your point, I've never thought anything about MS4 was interesting.
Or stormwater. Well,
And
in the good
the
way.
best part was watching your mom.
Yeah, I agree.
I even got a little
Congratulations.
teary-eyed. You should be really impressed.
Mom is happy too.
Proud mom moment.
leaving me in like 5 days.
Thank you.
Yes, very proud.
Yeah.
Well,
Thank
thank
you.
you all for
Yes.
everything you said, and yeah, it's been an honor, it's been a pleasure to work with the town, and look, if I have any friends, like, I will definitely send them your way.
Yeah.
Um,
So Asher, what are you doing this year?
well, I'm going to my sophomore year at Northwestern, so
Okay.
you know, I'm an economics major, hoping to get approval to double minor in statistics and data science.
Okay, well,
Um,
I can see how you would do really well
Yes.
there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So it should be
Congrats.
good.
So best wishes for a great sophomore
Thank
year.
you. Thank you.
You give us
And,
hope for the future.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank
It was a pleasure, and thank you all for
We
taking
hope to
the
hear
time.
from you
Thank
again
you.
one day
Yes,
soon.
please.
Well done.
Okay.
Once he has
you.
that
And
statistic,
good job, Mom.
he can come analyze the results.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. And it's okay if you don't stay for the whole meeting, but if you're
You
very,
can leave. You
you're
don't have
very
to
welcome.
stay.
Chance.
You're
Then
very,
now's
you're
your chance
very
to get
welcome.
out.
Alright, thank you guys.
Thank
Really
you.
appreciate it.
Have a great
Sabrina?
semester.
I'm gonna walk you out.
Oh, okay.
That's right.
So since we're running late, Rob, I'd like to take something out of order because it took us a while to start the work session, and we have
That was really impressive.
our chair of the Airport Advisory Board to present a resolution in support of the Intermunicipal Airport Master Plan Task Force recommendations. Thank you for waiting, and I know you expected to,
No
Present at
worries, I
7
cleared
o'clock.
my calendar to be here.
you know what happens, you know what goes on here. So
Sorry.
all right, so thank you for being here and presenting to us.
So on behalf of the Intermunicipal Airport Master Plan Task Force, which is a group of 7 communities, Newcastle plus 6 other local communities, we've put together a resolution that we're asking each of our town boards to pass, which is specifically looking to address the master plan process that's going on right now at Westchester County. So very specifically, back in 2020 or so, the previous what was he? Who was the head guy?
Sure.
The
Rob
Fleischer.
no, sorry,
Latimer?
Latimer,
Oh,
there we
George
go.
Latimer, that head guy,
Had
yeah.
kicked off,
Yes.
Not
executive, yes. Had kicked off the master plan update process, it got delayed, and so this was done in 1987, setting out sort of the airport, the growth, update the buildings, all of that, so it's been a while. And then very specifically, right now, Ken Jenkins is the new county executive. So what we're looking to do is really put this resolution out now to the county, the new county executive, and really setting forth our recognition of the benefits of the airport, right? It's convenient, it's close by, but also our concerns, right? Sort of we live within the flight path, we hear the noise, issues of pollution, air pollution, water pollution. So what we've done in this resolution is put forth many of our key concerns across one, airport modernization. So this is something specifically Ken Jenkins has talked about. So right, making a more convenient airport, which is both good, but at the same time recognizing that the county has set forth there are very strict limits on not growing the footprint of the airport, limiting the number of passengers to the terminal. So we want to make sure those issues are recognized, as well as concerns about noise, the different airlines, different type of airplanes flying at the airport, water pollution, all of that stuff. I can take a pause there if you have any questions, otherwise I can keep going, whatever makes sense.
You can keep going.
Yeah, go ahead, keep going.
So yeah, and so I guess the other thing sort of important right now, there's been a whole lot going on at the airport. So there's a master plan. I was last year, a year ago, with the terminal use agreement, which would restrict, and it was reapproved at the beginning of this year, maintaining that only 240 passengers per half hour can in-plane, deplane. So puts those strict limits in place. So that happened, but there's this airport modernization RFP that there was recently news stories about, very sort of cryptic what that means. Sort of the legislature hasn't said what's going to be there. So we're monitoring that. And then the county just lost a lawsuit a couple of weeks ago. So there's very strict limits on any airlines selling seats for more than 9 passengers. Had strict limits and couldn't do it. County just lost that. And then it just withdrew an appeal of that lawsuit. So potentially a lot of these smaller airlines like Blade and JSX can start flying out of the private terminals at Westchester Airport, which potentially bring more noise and get around the strict limits on the terminal use agreement. So sort of all this stuff going on right now. So this resolution is just trying to put forth sort of our sort of key concerns that we've laid out here, as well as we've prepared papers, research papers behind these topics in terms of what the issues are.
Greg, have they established what the groundwater issues are specifically?
So there's issues of PFAS. Because there's a firefighting foam, which contains PFAS, they've tested and found PFAS in the water. So monitoring that, also making sure that that doesn't migrate out into the reservoirs, particularly issues of stormwater, right? If you have climate change, more extreme weather, make sure that is being treated, taken care of properly, and potentially remediated.
And do you know, and I know you don't necessarily have all of these answers, but do you know what their mitigation factors are? How are they mitigating?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean.
I think for right now they're just monitoring, from what I'm aware of. But yeah.
I mean, is there any way we can get data on that?
I
really
can
wonder
look into it.
what that would show, what the increase in the PFAS runoff would show and where it goes and how they plan to mitigate that.
Yep.
That is a big issue.
No, definitely.
It's huge.
Yes.
Especially in the state. I mean, the state is creating even stricter laws around that.
Right.
So you would think that the airport would be held accountable.
They should be.
Should
Yeah.
be on the DEC brownfield site perhaps as well.
It really, it's astounding. It really is.
I just want to introduce Eric, who's part of
Sorry.
Newcastle Airport Advisory Board as well.
Yes, hello Eric, welcome.
Hi there.
Thank you.
Welcome. So I've read through the resolution and you're basically going through all of the different issues that we're concerned about and the point is that as these improvements for usage for how do they term their goals, just passenger comfort, passenger efficiency or
In terms of the passenger restrictions on the terminal use or modernization?
right, I mean how are they describing what these changes to the airport?
So they haven't, and that's sort of the thing that's been I guess something that we're monitoring. They haven't said what that means. Is it something very simple like a fresh coat of paint, or are they gonna sort of find ways to squeeze more passengers in, right? Because so actually it's important to note is the terminal use agreement restricts it, but there's about 100 days of exception around holidays, spring break, Christmas, Thanksgiving, whatever else, and then it's a free-for-all, so you can have a gajillion people theoretically through the airport.
And since the county lost the lawsuit, it's another workaround.
Exactly, yeah, so you can have these small Blade and JSX type, and so yeah,
Which are some
so
of the worst,
what?
which are often the worst, because there's already a lot of them now.
Yeah, and sort of obviously, and I think one of the things is, look at the private jets. Obviously, it's not as big as a big commercial airline, but it's much louder than a smaller plane, all else being equal. That's the kind of thing I think you hear over your house. And so it's important to note about 80% of the flights are private jet size aircraft.
Greg, is in the resolution, is one of the efforts to
Eric,
Sorry.
come up to the microphone.
Sure,
I mean,
sure.
you're welcome to because people
Sure.
won't
Yeah, we
hear
want
what
to-
you're
I see.
saying.
Everybody
Yeah.
wants to hear.
Yeah, we're not trying to make you uncomfortable, but just, yeah.
So I was just gonna chime in and ask Greg a question that was regarding a point in the resolution that that spoke to the PFAS chemicals, and I think I was gonna ask you perhaps is that we're trying to establish that conditions like that be rolled into the site plan approval process for any new developments in the master plan, and any RFP proposed development to get it formally onto the environmental site analysis register of the site, rather than just monitoring it, hold them accountable essentially for mitigating that or dealing with it or understanding what it means for proposed expansion, hopefully not expansion, but proposed improvements. And to safeguard the site, not only the site, but the reservoir and surrounding. So I was just wondering if that is an official part of the resolution.
Yeah, so it is, yeah, exactly, to monitor and make sure any changes, any modernizations takes into account all the different environmental impacts of PFAS, water, air pollution, and all of that.
So I have a question for you. I'm not entirely clear. Of course, there's the master plan, but is this goal of improving the passenger experience something in addition to that they're going to be doing separately before completing the master plan?
Yes, so so Ken Jenkins has said that he wants to modernize the airport, and there was recently LOHUD article that there's an RFP in process. And the airport has confirmed that they are working on an RFP, but because it's in process, they can't say what's in it.
Okay, so unrelated to the master plan.
Unrelated to it, they're modernizing, whatever that means.
I read something also about the parking issue and more public transportation as like a goal.
Yes,
Would that impact Newcastle? I mean, might there be public transportation from Newcastle downtown to the
I mean,
airport?
we've asked the county to consider it. So yeah, so maybe theoretically, but yeah, and that's one of the things I think, particularly some of the communities that are closer, they're worried about the traffic, cars cutting through and all of that. So yeah, so that's one of the recommendations here is to consider public transportation options.
Okay, so the resolution is really thorough.
Yes,
It really
yeah, so it
names
was
all of the
14
issues
of
that we
us of
could,
the last year or so fighting over it.
you've done a great job and it's a really good
It was back and forth and you try to get it all there and then
14,
Collaboration, not
collaboration, yes.
this is collaboration.
And then a lot of last minute changes with this lawsuit happening.
Did you consider bringing Asher on to help you?
You might now.
Hashtag get Asher.
Yeah. So this is a really good roadmap as to
Yeah.
what we need from the airport and what goes into the master plan and what gets implemented.
Yeah, and ultimately
So,
really
thank
to
you
show
so
that we're
much.
paying attention, all the communities are watching what's going on.
Yeah, your committee's doing really great work, very substantive, very clearly delineated here. And I'm really very grateful for this. Thank you so much.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
And so we will be voting on this.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And supporting.
And so, yes, I don't wanna get ahead, but I'm assuming, yes. Yeah. Okay. All right, Rob, do you want to discuss the RFQ for the chap line design and construction inspection consultants?
Yep, so we just wanted to update the community tonight, kind of where we are on the chap line. I think everyone's heard about this project for many years. We were able to announce earlier this year the grant funding of the TAP funding, federal grant that's locally administered by New York State. So as part of that process, the next step in the process was to select a design consultant. And we're here to name that consultant tonight. So just to talk a little bit about the process, we issued RFQs, requests for qualifications to 19 vendors off, what was the list? It's a local.
It's the local the local state design assistance contract. There's a whole process. Hang on.
Oh, yes, you have to come to the
I
microphone.
The state has a local design assistance list. If you're a vendor or a contractor, you have to apply to be put on this list. It's an abbreviated process. So rather than going out for an RFP where we would let an RFP, we would receive bids and we'd go through that process, we were able to just send our project, if you will, to the list of 19 companies that were approved in our region to do work by New York State DOT under this grant, under the TAP grant. So we narrowed it down, you can take it from there.
Yeah, so we narrowed it, we had 4 responses. We had a committee in town, staff, consultants. And we narrowed it down to 4, or we had 4 responses, we narrowed it down to 2. We had in-person interviews with each of those entities, and ultimately we selected Barton and LaJudas, who Don Fletcher's here this evening. So we selected Barton and LaJudas. The 4 firms were really all qualified. They had a really impressive resume of different projects very similar to what we're looking for. They all had experience administering federal grants, state grants, etc. What really set Barton and LaJudas apart was the fact that they had performed the feasibility study for us. They helped us apply for the grant, several grants over the years, and they just really knew this project really well. I think Lee went back several years ago, went trudging through the brush there, and she's actually walked the proposed trail, and they're just really familiar with that, and they were involved in some of the earlier public engagement sessions that we had. We had targeted sessions with residents that were in areas that'll be close to the trail, and we did some full public meetings with this. So we really felt like that set them apart. So Don and then I think Dan was online in the executive session, so they kind of walked us through the timeline and what the next steps look like. So we're going to appoint them this evening as the design consultant, and they're gonna hit the ground running. So they're gonna take advantage of the remaining time left in the fall here. They'll start with surveying and kind of wetlands delineation of the site, and then they'll get into their design work. So they gave us a timeline tonight, very conservative timeline. They expect the entire design process and to be able to name go out to bid and then name a construction company, and we expect that to take 2 years from this point to be able to finally put a shovel in the ground. And we're really hoping much sooner, but there's some variables that come into play. There's a significant amount of permitting, there's some environmentally sensitive lands that we need to be aware of and to design around and to design some boardwalks. So they've given us that timeline. We talked tonight about some how to make the community more aware. We're gonna set up a website that's gonna keep everyone updated. We'll have public meetings with the consultant, both targeted and to the full town, and that's gonna get us started. We hope that throughout this process, once we have the final design for this, that will help us to secure more funding for the project.
Okay, thank you, Rob. I'm very confident in presenting BNL as our consultant. They have very close and detailed knowledge of the site, having done the feasibility study. They know our community very well, and that counts for a lot. And they have more than the expertise we need to, you know, of course they have the engineering expertise, but they also have expertise in environmental areas. They have people who are, you know, trained environmentalists as well, and I thought that set them apart. So I'm very grateful that we have a solid plan and a solid timeline to look at going forward, and I look forward to approving the contract.
And the community may remember they did
Not tonight, I'm sorry, but we're not approving it.
We are tonight, we're
Oh, we met-
approving the
okay,
appointment, so the final details, it'll be subject to the attorney's
Oh, okay, I
just
thought
some
we were
very fine
tabling
details.
based on outstanding issues, but
No,
we're keeping
Lino
it
is-
on.
Yeah, we're keeping it on to approve
Okay,
tonight, yeah,
okay,
because
yeah.
we do want them to get started. We're really, a lot of the details in the contract, so the very first part of the contract are all state DOT specifications, that there's not a lot of leeway.
So these are small issues.
Yeah, and
Okay.
so we've worked with, I think Sabrina had one minor comment from what they had given us tonight, and that won't be a roadblock, so
Okay, so I misunderstood that.
yeah,
Okay, good.
no,
I'm
so
glad we can-
Lino is good to go ahead. And community may remember also Barton and LaJudas did the work on the playground and the basketball court for us. They designed that and did all the construction management there. That project came in on time and under budget, and we're looking forward to this one doing the same.
Right, okay, great. Any questions for Rob?
No, thanks, Rob.
All right, and now we are going to the Route 120 pedestrian bridge and duck pond bridge.
Update.
Sorry, this is a little redundant here, but the duck pond bridge update. And we've had a lot of concerns from residents, we've heard from them. I'll let you get started.
Yeah, we have, and so we have Jeff Gaspar, the town engineer here tonight, that's been kind of stepped in, I guess, in the middle or the later stages of the project right now. You know, we had some difficulties in the beginning, we had it designed and went out to bid, and we had some issues. The low bidder at the time ended up rescinding his bid because they realized after submitting the bid, they were unable to complete the project before the bid, and then the other two bidders at the time didn't have any experience doing this type of project. So ultimately, we rejected those bids, went out to bid again, or sorry, not yet, but we've asked Tectonic, the designer, to kind of refine the bid specs and maybe hopefully get some better responses. And I'll leave it there for Jeff to tell you where we are right now.
Sure, so let me start with the good news is that we actually received from Tectonic today, this afternoon, the bid package that we can put out on BidNet, how we advertise our bids. So that's actually, I have to review it just to make sure that they cross their T's and dotted their I's. I said that right. And we should be able to go out to bid again in the next couple of days. Just to kind of add on to what Rob said, I think the biggest issue, which you probably noted, was we didn't get a very good response to it. And there was a couple of factors when that. One of them is it went out right around the holidays. I think it went out in mid-December and it came back in mid-January. I think it was a week after I started. So we only had 3 bidders. And again, 2 of the bidders were not had no experience, and then the third bidder misbid. So what we looked at, what we spent this time doing is refining. I talked to a couple of contractors who took bids out, who actually downloaded the documents but didn't bid, and Tectonic did the same, our engineering consultant. And we refined the drawings to sort of remove a little bit of the risk and unknowns from the drawings and obviously, bidding out now, we're in a little bit of a better position to get better bids. So I'm expecting to get a better response this time, and I'm gonna reach out to the people who download the bids and other contractors just to get a better response. Hopefully we'll get a good response this time.
Hey, do you have an estimate of the timeline from here on out, now that we have the bid packages, they're going out in a couple of days?
So
And what is the timeline then to
I'll
for
walk you-
responses?
I'll walk you through it. So assuming we get the bids back in, let's just say, 4 to 5 weeks, we have our due date. It would take a week to 2 to review the bids and make sure that whoever our low bidder is qualified. And then we have to go through the contract phase, get insurances, and then the board would approve that selected low bidder or lowest responsible bidder. From then, the biggest sort of time factor is the actual bridges themselves. So the bridges it's actually 3 sections of prefabricated bridge sections. So whereas the current bridge, I don't know if anybody has looked at it, they're on very individual piles. So every couple of feet there's a set of wood piles that the bridge is built on. This is gonna be a little bit different. It's gonna have actually a sections of bridges that are dropped on individual pile caps. So these are manufactured by manufacturers that are hours away. So these are gonna get delivered on, these bridge sections are gonna get delivered on tractor trailers in the middle of the night. When we initially went out to bid, and I think this is one of our lessons learned from this is the lead time was between 6 and 8 months to actually receive the bridge sections. I do think that it'll be a little bit quicker this time just because contractors have been slower, so I think the timing is a little bit better for actually constructing these bridge sections. So that's really the largest question mark with respect to time now. The Duck Pond Bridge is also a part of this as well. That's gonna get done in a much quicker rate. Basically, we have the contract set up so the Duck Pond Bridge gets done first, and then the actual pedestrian bridge, the longer span, doesn't get demolished until we have confirmation that the bridge sections are imminently being delivered. So, total time, we're probably looking at replacing the bridge sections in the summer of next year, the large span. The Duck Pond Bridge, I hope to be done this year, sometime in the late fall or even, early winter, have the Duck Pond Bridge replaced. But again, the fabrication time, if it is that 6 to 8 months, it could be the summer of next year.
Okay, all right, thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Jeff, how long do you expect to have the bid out?
4 weeks. We might go to 5 weeks just to give contract. It can be a complicated bid. There's a lot of moving parts. A lot of it is they have to contact the prefab, the manufacturers for the bridge section. So, they could be, if they're waiting 2 weeks to get a price for that, there's and also the part of the project requires actually a temporary platform being built to install the piles for the bridge sections to sit on. So that was one of the question marks is installing these piles. So that's one of the things that we refine in the design to sort of remove some of the question mark with how those get installed. So it's a little bit complicated to put a bid package together for contractors. So we might go to 5 weeks or 6 weeks. My biggest thing is I would rather take a little bit longer and get it done the right way. Again, we threw out 2 bidders last time because the last thing I wanna do is we have this visible bridge and it doesn't go smoothly. So my main focus is, even if it takes a little longer, let's get it done right, do it once by somebody who's qualified and not think about it again.
Oh, okay. All right, that's the best we can do.
Thank
At
you.
this
trying.
point, yeah,
It's
it's very hard to
on-
predict the timeline, but
Yeah.
thank you for giving us that idea, a general sense.
Just to give you an idea, when Tectonic initially reached out, they were doing their homework on these bridge sections. They were originally told 6 to 8 weeks to fabricate them. And then when the bids went out and they came back to us, we were told 6 to 8 months. They also came in, I think, twice as expensive. They were assuming I think they were assuming $500,000 or $600,000 for the bridge sections, and the two bids we got, two of the bids were like $1 million or a little over $1 million for the 3 bridge sections. So again, I'm hoping we'll get a little bit of a better response, just because things have slowed down a little bit in the industry just in general.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, great, thank you very much. Let's see. Okay, and now I'm going to give a brief update to the Con Ed rate case. We've heard from our special counsel. For anyone who hasn't been paying attention to this, we have a consortium of about 40 municipalities. I've lost track now, more keep coming on to represent Westchester in Con Ed's rate increase request. This is the first time Westchester has been represented in a case like this. What our counsel said to us in his update is this is now a case like no other. We have a very united and strong voice. The current developments are that, so the parties have been in discussion of the issues, and we have now been in the 3rd round of offers and counteroffers. So there was a session between the Westchester interveners, that's us, and the PSC staff, where our counsel expressed continued, dissatisfaction with the level of increases being proposed by Con Ed. They make concessions, but the concessions don't seem to be taking the issues of affordability seriously enough. And because of that, the PSC staff negotiating team changed course. They sent a message to Con Ed saying they were unable to continue presenting those offers due to concerns of the impacts on affordability from a 3-year agreement. And so they would stop, and it's not clear what the next steps are going to be, but Con Ed's response was that there should not be any more settlement meetings at this time. So what can happen next is, there are a range of possibilities. The settlement talks can continue if the PSC staff gets an internal agreement on a reasonable offer from Con Ed. I'm not sure if they would push Con Ed to then offer whatever they determine to be reasonable, or Con Ed can itself present what they deem a more reasonable offer. And the other alternative is that the settlement talks can stop and we go into full litigation. If we go into full litigation, the PSC would then hear from the parties and then determine what the increase would be for a 1-year period. Then Con Ed would be free to present another proposal in 2027. The factors that the interveners talked about were that the increases were still, even if the counter proposals and proposals, the increase were still far above the rate of inflation. That there is a lack of equity in the capital investment and the fairness in the rate structure. The cost of serving the underground grid, which is mostly New York City. New York City has underground except for Staten Island. And we of course have an above ground system. So the cost of serving the underground grid is far higher than the rate of service for us with the overhead system. In addition, approximately 95% of the proposed capital improvements are going to New York City. And then, in addition to that, is there another fact? No, and in addition to that, we're paying the same rate as the New York City residents. So we are subsidizing in a considerable fashion what New York City residents are getting in terms of service and in terms of capital improvements. So we've proposed a study to determine the cost of service differential and then to remove that subsidy paid by Westchester residents. So those were some of the factors that our special counsel and other Westchester interveners presented to the PSC, which led to their sort of halt in presenting Con Ed's offers. So we'll see what happens next. I hope that we get a reasonable proposal from Con Ed rather than go to litigation. But I suppose we're prepared, our side is prepared to go to litigation if it's necessary. Any questions from anyone?
Oh, but and we don't have our counsel here, but there's been times in the past where we've discussed double poll legislation to really make sure that Con Edison is accountable to the people and the communities that it serves. And that brought them here and their lawyers here out of fear that if one community does this, then two, then four, then eight. And maybe that's something to consider to make this a more even playing field and to get that communities can get the monies back that they need to make sure that the infrastructure is safe and secure at the cost to Con Edison, and maybe that would bring them to the table. And it'd be interesting what council for these joint communities might think of that approach.
I mean, it's not it wouldn't just be an incentive, but they really need to address these
I
polls. I mean, this is a
understand that,
real
but they
thing.
push back on it and they usually will come when you bring up the issue and they'll come and they'll fix some of the polls. But I would imagine in communities across Westchester that are getting hit with unprecedented storms and damaging to poles and they just tack them up to each other, that maybe that's an approach to consider to ensure the safety of our respective and collective communities. I unfortunately think Con Edison only care about their pocketbook and their bank account at the end of the day, and that may be a means to do so, even if the means is really just to ensure safety and security.
I will bring that up. Thank you for reminding all of us of this issue. Okay, all right, so we're ready to move on. Rob, do you wanna go through the administrative items?
Sure, quite a few administrative items tonight. We have 2 retroactive payment of claims for checks dated August 22nd and September 4th. We have a street opening permit bond release for 52 Hidden Hollow. We have the authorization to utilize town property for the Chappaqua Fire Department. That's for their open house on October 5th. With the construction going on their property, they're unable to use it, so they're asking to use the train station parking lot for that, and that's a Sunday, I believe. We have the authorization to approve the annual service and support contract with DNR, $10,828. DNR is the vendor that installed all the electronics in this room, the TVs, the cameras, etc., as well as all the electronics at the Chappaqua Performing Arts Center. So we have an annual contract with them to keep everything running. We have the authorization to approve the revised snow and ice agreements with New York State DOT. That's through 2029. That changed. It was a revised agreement in our favor. It had been $68,000 a year. It's now up to $79,000 a year, and that's for about 22 miles of New York State roadway in the town that we actually plow the snow for. So we don't do all of the state roads in town, but for a lot of the state roads, we remove the snow. We have the authorization to purchase water maintenance materials for DPW from Rio Supply for $19,257. We have the authorization for the acceptance of the Second Amendment, an extension to the agreement with Veolia, the company that operates the water treatment plant. What this change in this contract allows is it will allow Veolia to purchase equipment on our behalf. Currently, they're not permitted to do that. They're the operator of the plant. We typically purchase all the equipment that we put there. There's a particular piece of equipment that they're looking to purchase that they can get easier through their own sources, and this amendment to the contract will allow for that to happen. We have the authorization to attend the New York Highway Safety Symposium for 2 police officers, Officers Mitchell and Donovan, total cost of $1,798. We have the authorization to award the bid for after-school bus transportation services. That's for Chappaqua Transportation. That's taking the kids from the schools to the after-school programs that the town runs. We have the authorization to refund a building permit number 21749. It was a duplicate payment on that permit, and we're refunding that. We have the authorization for change order number 2 to Rivertown Solar. So when Asher was mentioning the high electric bills over at the Chappaqua Performing Arts Center. This is a change order, probably I think the last step to get the solar panels online. They've been installed, I understand they're operational. What this has to do with this Cat6 cable. The Wi-Fi there wasn't strong enough to communicate with the panels that it needed to, I guess, whatever the communication has to be between the
It's for
panels
testing and
the-
recording.
and the grid. So $4,250, but that should be online soon, so
Great.
we're hoping it should reduce the cost significantly of the electricity up there. We have the authorization to approve change order number 3 for Upper Minkle Dam decommissioning for Tectonic, $125,320. The board is pretty familiar with this project. We found out earlier this year that when the Army Corps of Engineers brought their comments back to the original design that we had, they changed it substantially, and this is a change order for Tectonic to redesign this. We're expecting to have the revised design in I think by the end of October, early November, so we can move forward with this project. It's been delayed due to DEC and Army Corps review and permitting requirements. We have the authorization to use the Omnia Partners bid pricing for 2 IT projects. $29,400 is for a computer hardware refresh. We're replacing 20 or so, give or take, machines around Town Hall. This is an anticipated cost. We have a useful life of about 6 years on each machine. So our IT vendor logically reviews that with us annually, and they've recommended that these machines be replaced. They also recommend replacing a network switch at Town Hall for $43,676. Those are there's an IT capital project from the last time that we borrowed with funding still available, and we will access that funding for those projects. We have the consent and release for the sewer connection work at 73 South Greeley Avenue. And finally, we have the authorization to award the purchase of masonry repair for the Parks and Recycling Garage. The amount is $53,165.
Okay,
Thanks,
thank you, Rob. May I have a motion to adjourn the work session and enter into the town board meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're now at our town board meeting. Rob, do you have any announcements?
We have the tax bills. Do you wanna?
Sure.
School tax bills.
Yes, the school tax bills have been mailed, so if you, as opposed to your bank, are responsible to pay the taxes and have not received a bill, please contact the tax office and we will send out a bill to you. They are due no later than September.
September.
Yes, and you can email us at taxes@mynewcastleny.gov or call us at 238-4773.
Okay, thank you. Very important information.
Yes.
Don't be late, there's
Don't
a
be late.
10%.
2% this month is 10% in January.
It's 2% this month?
Yeah.
Oh, it's free money.
There you go.
Jeremy's taking
You're
chances.
Oh, that's a slippery slope. Yeah.
Get comfortable, January's 10%, you're gonna get in trouble, supervisor's right, it's painful.
You know what, I'm gonna hold my supervisor's report because it's just getting late, it'll be in my newsletter.
Sure.
Rob, do you have any do you have a report?
Yeah, I just have a couple of items for my report. So the road paving continued last week. Our paving contractor has been in and out of town this summer based on just different commitments that they have. We're hoping they'll finish up within the next 2 weeks. And then if you've driven on 117 recently, you've noticed Con Ed's out there doing some, I think it's gas main replacements. So they are gonna be there. I had it incorrectly listed in the newsletter. The dates were in August, and I'm not sure how I did that, but they will be there at least another month and possibly 2. So they're gonna go all the way to Northway from where they are. They're going down to Northway. That's where that project will terminate.
Did they initially plan to start when they did, 2 weeks before school started?
I don't think so. We
This has nothing to do with double
No.
poll legislation, but maybe they need some more incentives to be better.
And I'm not sure why the timing got to be the way it was when they consult with town staff and we try to do our paving, we didn't get done this year before school, we usually do as well. So we usually recommend that anybody doing work, if they're doing tree cutting or whatever, that we try to, when the buses are not on the roads and during the summer, the roads are less congested in town, so not sure why they chose that timing. Bart tells me it's probably a month to 2 months depending. They're not sure how much rock they're gonna hit in the project and that could slow it down a little bit, so I don't think they're not doing any full road closures. They're leaving one lane open the whole time, but it is a little congested, so if you can avoid the area, I would.
Yeah, I live right there and I was wondering
Yeah.
why they
Yeah.
waited so long to start.
That's all.
Okay, alright. We're now at the public comment period. Public comment and new business. Anyone in the audience with a public comment?
I actually, Asher forgot to hand these out. He had some cards for you regarding the program. He asked if I do that for you.
Okay. Very nice.
So impressed.
Watch out, Sabrina, he's good.
Wonderful.
So impressed.
This is great.
You want one too?
No, I thought Asher's.
Please, when you make a public comment, please identify yourself and your place of residence.
Sure. My name is Eric Dorsch. I live on Aldridge Road up the hill here. I just wanted to say that I thought Asher's proposal to put up in a window of a shop or a vendor in town, similarly to a restaurant grade or a LEED certification of a building or something, the stormwater sheet, that certification or identifying the work and thought and commitment to that effort. I thought it was a good idea to make that visible for people to see and enforce the message and the collective effort, so I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I agree, it's a fantastic idea. Is there anyone online for public comment?
No hands are raised.
No hands are raised. Okay, so we will close the public comment period and we will open a public hearing now on the extension of a moratorium on the battery energy storage system and commercial solar arrays. May I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Rob, do you wanna talk about
Yes,
the need,
Sabrina's
or Sabrina,
here, Sabrina can speak to it.
talk about the need for the extension?
Sure. It's a combined public hearing for two moratoriums that the town had issued regarding the large-scale battery energy storage systems and large-scale solar. We've been working on drafting legislation for both between myself, my office, different people in my office, and the town attorney. And we've come up with a couple drafts, but we keep changing them due to what's going on with our neighboring municipalities and decisions they're making. So we're kind of still trying to get something on paper for you to review and move forward.
Right, we have, the situation is changing around us, so.
It's a moving target.
So we want to do the best job we possibly can. So, okay, so since this is there anything else? I mean, I think that says it all.
No, I think this is a 6-month extension,
Yes.
correct?
Right, so well, we have one person in the audience, any comments for this public hearing? Sorry, I don't mean to just try to there's
You don't have to.
You don't have to.
nobody else, so
You're in.
With the spotlight
you don't
out.
have to.
No, I'm curious actually where the solar and the large scale battery storage may have been proposed or
It's
They
not
haven't.
proposed, it's just
It's not proposed,
preemptive,
it's
proactively.
preemptive, right?
Yes.
right.
Okay.
There's no proposal yet, and so that's why we want to establish
front of it.
rules and regulations for when that does come about.
Great, that
Be
sounds great,
proactive, yes,
thank you.
yes. Are any hands raised online for this public hearing?
No hands are
No hands are
And worry
raised.
not, Asher is finding locations in town.
We need to
Don't
get,
worry.
Asher back. So since seeing that there are no, well, there was one question, but seeing that there is no one else raising a question on this, I would propose that we close the public hearing but keep the record open for written comments through this Friday, what is the date of this Friday? Through the 12th, Friday the 12th at noon, which is what we do customarily. Does that sit well with everyone?
That's for me.
Yeah, okay. So may I have a motion to do so, please?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Great, so Rob, you've gone over all of the matters that are listed on the consent agenda.
Well, I thought I did, but in looking at the consent agenda, I missed one item, and that was the authorization to award partner LaJudas the design contract. So we spoke about that and but it wasn't in the administrative items, so all the other items
That's
we
why it was a
discussed in admin, but that one and the council approved that and gave us the wording that would be subject to an agreement between subject to the contract that would be agreeable to the town and its council was the wording.
Good night, folks.
Get home
Good
safe,
night, Sabrina.
Sabrina.
So I don't have to read through the whole thing. Oh, we do have the master
The airport
airport
resolution.
master plan in the consent agenda. Okay.
Oh, it's in the consent.
Alright, so let's go ahead. Let's see, Holly, do you wanna get us started with the resolutions? It's in
Oh,
the
it's number
consent
9.
agenda.
Oh,
It's in the consent
Yeah,
agenda.
alright, go ahead, Holly.
I
Yeah.
move to adopt items 1 through 16 as listed on the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Sorry.
I move to retroactively approve the payment of claims in the amount of $1,204,003.35 listed on the summary AP check register and detail voucher detail report, both dated August 22nd, 2025. Checks were printed and distributed to each claimant listed on Friday, August 22nd, 2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ally, go ahead.
I move to retroactively approve the payment of claims in the amount of $522,891.50 listed on the summary AP check register and detail voucher detail report, both dated September 4th, 2025. Checks were printed and distributed to each claimant listed on Thursday, September 4th, 2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I move to approve the change in the rate of pay for Alex Lang from $20 to $25 per hour for flag football effective September 2nd, 2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Go ahead.
I move to authorize the hiring of the following individuals for the position of recreation attendant with the Recreation and Parks Department at the corresponding rates and dates as indicated below.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I move to authorize the appointment of Angelo Giannotta, pardon me if I said your name incorrectly, as a member of the LGBTQ+ committee for a 2-year term effective September 10th, 2025 through December 31st, 2027.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
One more, Jen.
I move to award bid contract DPW 2025-05 purchase of masonry repair to the Parks Recycling Garage Building to SNP Consultants Inc. for the total amount of $53,165.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Wanna move to adjourn?
Well, do you have to, we're gonna go through these resolutions? These additional,
We passed this resolution, this was the airport
we did pass it?
resolution, it was in the
Oh, it's
consent
included in
agenda,
consent? Okay, it was.
item 9 in the
Alright, my
consent
apologies.
agenda.
My apologies.
Well, yeah, but thank you anyway, you never know. Okay, may I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned, thank you very much,
Well,
everyone.